Hi, I'm Lee, welcome back. Everything's plastered, everything's dried out. We've got a good echo. So if you previously watched my video about doing the DIY plastering or skimming the walls, this video we're going to get a mist coat on it and then we're going to go over, have a look and see how good our plastering was. Stay tuned. Right, so we've got our nice new vinyl floor covered. Got polythene underneath, and then we've just got some old curtains that we had. Right, so we're first going to give this a mist coat. A mist coat is important on bare plaster. All it basically is watered down. I mean, we just got a trade matte emulsion, just using a Johnson's one. It's about £20 for 10 litres, between £20 and £25 in places. But all we're going to do, we're going to mix this. We're going to tip some paint in there. Mix it sort of 70-30, 70 to paint, 30 water. All depends on how thick your paint is really, because you don't want to make it too runny. There's a lot of people that say you can do 50-50, but I think it depends on, you know, what paint you got, how thick the actual paint is. I mean, this is quite a thickish paint, so which is why I'm going to do like a 70-30 mix, 70 paint to 30% water. I've just got a big brush because we're going to do our cutting in first. I've made wet. And then we got our very handy tool. We've got our 12-inch roller on here. You know, this would be great for just doing the walls, doing the ceilings. You could just get it all done in one go with this. We're still going to need to get our platform out to cut in the corners up the top. But let's get started on this and then we can see what our plastering job really looks like. Hard to know how much paint to actually use. Just going to put the lid back on that, keep it out of the way. Right, and our scuttle that we're using has actually got, probably not going to be able to see it. We have got the markings up the side for like litres. So we've got 15 litres all the way up there. And we're just below, it's going up in 2, so that's probably 3 litres. So we've probably got about 2.5 litres in there. So now we've just got some water. This Johnson paint looks a bit yellowy when you pour it out, but it does dry a brilliant white. Tip some water in now. Well, if you were doing 50-50, you could go up to your 5 litre mark. We're just going to start with that water first. Just going to get some of the water mixed in. Sometimes easier mixing it a bit at a time rather than chucking the whole water in and then mixing it together. And also you can see how wet your paint is. So we need a good stir to make sure all the water's mixed in with the paint. You can kind of tell when it's all getting mixed in because the water tends to sit on the top. And once it's all mixed in together, you've got a nice consistency throughout. Well, that's all mixed in. It's a bit like a single cream now. So I don't want to put any more water in that because I think that'll be too watery. So just going to let that settle for a couple of minutes because obviously you've got loads of air bubbles in there now. So while we wait for some of them bubbles to go, just explain why a mist coat is important. From what I understand, I'm no expert in painting and decorating, but when you've got bare plaster, you water your paint down a bit so the water can actually penetrate the plaster. The plaster will soak up the water that's in the paint. So the paint is actually, you know, embedded, ingrained in the plaster, which is why it's important to wait until your plaster is fully dry, because if your plaster is still wet, you know, it's still trying to dry out the moisture that's in there and it can't suck in more of the water. So the paint then tends to sit on the top because it can't soak in. So if you was to paint over sort of you know, damp plaster or plaster that's not fully dry, if you just went and wiped your hand over it or wiped anything over it, the paint would just wipe off of there because it's not soaked into the plaster. and then that mist coat, once it's done properly, gives you your good base to put your final top coat on, like your 2 layers of top coat, and then it'll have good adhesion to the walls. That's my understanding on it, and I'm hoping it's right. So we're just going to get the platform out, get that set up, and we'll start cutting in all these corners.
Wake up, baby, all the stars are shining bright. Yeah, we should stay up.
Probably shouldn't be using such a hairy roller like this for the mist coat. Hey ho, let's go. I forgot to cut him around above. Do that off.
Keeping them closed, all of the senses explodes. You and me under the sky. Let's stay up all night. Give our hearts a new beginning when we fell in love.
Right, so there we go. That's our first mist coat done. I mean, you could leave it there if you've got, you've got the whole wall covered. You can leave it there, or just go belt and braces. But just to make sure, I mean, we've got some paint left over still. Still got some left in there, so we're just going to give it a second mist coat, just to make sure we've got everything covered. So we're just going to go around again. We'll do all our cutting in again, and then we'll do the walls again. I've left it for about an hour. It's that's dry as a bone. It's not rubbing off of there. So let's go around, do another mist coat. Alright, well, it's the next day now. Got the camera on the gimbal. Let's take a closer look at this mist coat. Right, so there's a softbox. Get the softbox in here, try and get a bit of better light on this wall. Actually, I think it looks pretty good. A little dog blob. Now, when you put this Johnston paint on the wall, it does look very patchy. I mean, this does look a bit thinner. But it seems to be an off-white colour as well. With this Johnston's matte emulsion, when you first open it, it's got like an oily film on the top of it that you need to stir in. And it's made me wonder when I first bought it whether it was oil based, but it's not, it's water based. God knows what they do to their paint these days. But it also looks an off-white colour. Even when you put it on the walls, it looks off-white, but once you leave it to dry, it turns to a brilliant white colour. God knows what formula and stuff they use these days. Paint's always changing. But it's good enough for a mist coat, and I can see anything that's wrong with walls now, so let's try and have a closer look. I mean, you can start see little ones like that. That's where I dug the corner of the trowel in. And also this is this wall behind the bath. I didn't actually worry about this too much. So, you have got little marks there. I hope you can see them. But anyway, these walls look very good to me. Now we'll try and get this one that the light's on. I've still got a bit of my shadow from outside. Let's move this light back a bit. I don't know if you can see, there's a few little bumps from the roller, but that's like the pattern in that roller I was using gives you. So it's not like a perfectly smooth. You just get some like little stipples on it. It's not quite an orange peel effect. But like I say, this is just a mist coat. There's a. Trying to get this shadow out of the way. I'm not sure whether you can see this mark on the wall, but that could just have a bit of filler put in there. Just a bit further down here is some little splodges of paint, but you can just quickly sand them down. Some of them, if they're little flecks of paint, they can just flick off. But pretty much the rest of the wall is all nice and flat. It tidy up around the door trims, but I'm going to get these. I'm just going to strip the paint off these and sand them down anyway. Not too worried about close to the door the door frame, because obviously that's going to have a trim going over there, so you don't have to worry about it close to here. That's not too bad. Let's have a look at the corners there. Corner's not too bad. It's got a little bit of rough spot in the corner. You can put a bit of filler in. Let's go along that corner. I'll try to hold my pad up as high as I can. So the corner's looking too bad. And the roll we got on the ceiling, which I actually heard a guy on Skill Builder, Roger Bisbee, he called this a skiling, because it's like a ski slope, I suppose. So I'm going to call these skilings from now on. Thank you, Roger Bisbee from Skill Builder. The only other couple of patches I can see is, there's a couple of little holes there that aren't brilliant, and that there isn't quite level. There's a little gap there. It's all round seems quite good. So like I say, there's that nick there from the trowel. Obviously under the bath is pretty hard to get perfect, so probably going to have to do a little bit of smoothing out under there. Around the sink waste, it's okay, it's not brilliant. There's another little patch down there that I need to put a bit of filler in there. Then we can go over to this corner, pay a bit more attention to these corners down here. But yeah, it looks very smooth. Even the ceiling from down here, I can't see anything bad on the ceiling that's standing out obvious at the moment. It might look different when we paint this white. Right, so I'm going to leave that one for there. That's miscoating the plaster and the results of when I plaster the room. If you haven't watched the bond coating and skimming of this room, I'll leave a link up here. So you can go back and watch the bond coating and the skimming of this room. There's nothing majorly wrong with it. There's just a couple of little bits that are going to need filler, so I'm quite happy with that result. There's not much extra work to do. So, just take your time. It is a bit of a skill, getting your plaster mix right, taking your time to get it on the wall. And, the major thing is don't let the plaster get too hard after your first coat, so you can flatten everything. Same again with your second coat. Just don't let the plaster get too hard that you can't go over and push the plaster in. Once it's hard, you might as well probably start again, because you're not going to be able to flatten it in nicely. And that's it. Have a go of plastering yourself. Next thing we'll do in the next video, we're going to be painting this wall Advance colour. It's just B&Q's home brand, so it's quite a darkish sort of bluey. Is that bluey colour? Yeah, it's a darkish bluey colour. We'll see how that looks. It's basically just going on that back wall, but obviously we're going to need to cut it in and get a nice line down this side. So come back and watch that video and we'll try and show you how to cut in and get a lovely straight line. So thanks for watching this video. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, please share it to your friends, and I hope to see you in the next one. So I'll see you soon. That will do. Look at this setup I've just got to do to record. Just got the thigh action camera on a gimbal. Got the zoom microphone down there, tripod stand, light behind it. All of this, focus, all of this in a tiny, well not tiny, focus. Yeah, all this in a tiny little bathroom.